Near mint condition, the home of collected editions.
That cover's so awesome.
This is Mr. Chris Claremont, a legend.
Melanie goes,
Tired.
Hey, all you minties! Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. And join me today for my overview of the X-FORCE by Benjamin Percy, Deluxe Edition Hardcover Volume 3, and the Wolverine by Benjamin Percy, Deluxe Edition Hardcover Volume 3. So let's go ahead and get started. And before going any further, a big thank you to David Gabriel and the fine folks at Marvel for sending us advanced copies of these oversized hardcovers. We have X-FORCE Deluxe Edition Volume 3 and Wolverine Deluxe Edition Volume 3. Both of these are due out in the direct market and book market on June 25th or 26th, depending on where you get your books. So the first thing I want to do is take a look at the books together here to kind of give you an idea of what the build is like, and then we'll look at the internal artwork. So you have Percy, Gil, Allen, Guru FX, and Lopez, Percy, Rip, and the Marta. Then you have Wolvie there. And the spines, believe it or not, they are a little bit of a different color. You have the orange spine here for X-FORCE, which actually, let me just zoom in there, goes right with the other X-FORCE. And then Wolverine, which has the red spine, or I guess redder spine, which goes right up there with the rest of Wolverine. And then the backs of the books here. You have a quote from Quentin Quire in this X-FORCE book, and a quote from Wolverine in the Wolverine book. What it collects, the ISBN, and then parental advisory. Now, the X-FORCE book is $44.99, while the Wolverine book is $49.99. We're going to look underneath the dust jackets, which actually spell out the title of each series. And look at the flaps here. They're X-FORCE, they hack, and they slash. A little bio on the creators. And the Wolverine flaps here, Wolverine versus the Beast, pretty much the entire book. And then a little bit about the creators. Of course, the design of everything, of the book itself and the dust jackets, all by the phenomenal Tom Mueller. Alright, let's actually look at X-FORCE first, and then we'll look at Wolverine. Alright, let's go ahead and crack X-FORCE open. We have the black end sheets there, X-FORCE right there, the title page, and then we have the credits here. Benjamin Percy, you have Robert Gill and Chris Allen and Edgar Salazar, credited as the artist, the color art by Guru FX and Carlos Lopez, and then the lettering by Joe Carabagna. Then you have the X-FORCE logo there. Now, this takes place after the events of X Lives and X Deaths of Wolverine. So, if you haven't read that era, if you don't want to go into any spoilers as to what's happened in volumes 1 and 2 of this or Wolverine, then again, why are you watching a video about volume 3? But regardless, I am just going to go ahead and put a spoiler tag here, just in case. So, this collects issues 27 through 38 of X-FORCE by Benjamin Percy. And the book has 328 pages, and it retails for $44.99. And here are your key players. Again, this is the characters of X-FORCE, taking place after the events of X Lives and X Deaths of Wolverine, where you had a time traveling, just really small synopsis of that, Omega Red and Wolverine trying to stop him through the different times of him trying to just misdirect or impact in a different way the big things that are happening in the X-Men's lives. Well, here they decide to resurrect Omega Red. The Council decides to resurrect him and give him another chance, which I find really interesting. Then you have this secret that Forge is going through. Something is going on with Forge, and it leads into something horrible. But let's get to the Omega Red part first, because you do have the character of Omega Red coming back, and the Council just deciding to bring him back and making this kind of like his redeeming arc. Like, hey, you're going to be part of us. We know you were trying to do these things, but we're all about forgiveness. Because keep in mind, this is during the age of Krakoa, where the X-Men are gathering mutants no matter what their pasts were like. So we have this whole thing with Forge. Yes, that's why I said spoilers. I promise I'm not going to go into big spoilers. Forge gets murdered brutally. One of my favorite characters by this new thing. This new creature that calls itself Cerebrax. Now, that is the first mystery that's happening here. So, of course, the X-Men go to the Five. That's right, this is Krakoa. To go and resurrect Forge because they have to figure out exactly what killed him and why. So it's gruesome. There's a reason why these books have a parental advisory rating on them. But Cerebrax is just tapping into the consciousness of the character of Forge. And it has ties to Forge. And I don't really want to reveal exactly what it is and who's behind it. But I did want to show you some of this crazy artwork and what it looks like. And I really like the fact that Quentin Quire steps up in this particular story. Because, you know, he's kind of been a little bit of a loner, but he's tapping into that full potential of his. Now, Cerebrax has tasted a little bit of what Forge gave him. So what it needs now is the whole island of Krakoa. So it gets into this huge and ridiculous fight. And that's just the first story arc. The next story arc is during the events of the Avengers and X-Men and Eternals, the Axe Judgment Day, where the Celestials came down and they kind of, you know, made mutants these, like, top of the food chain type of characters. Well, who goes after the mutants if they are the top of the food chain? I love the fact that he hunted down Deadpool to take his head so he could go through the Krakoan gate. That's right, none other than Kraven the Hunter. And this hunt goes completely brutal too. Who he's after, what he ends up doing with these characters. Now, that's just part of the story because the next story arc takes us out into space where they end up going to Arakko. So we leave Krakoa and X-Force along with characters like Maverick and the Mercs end up going and teaming up to go to Arakko because they're being attacked and targeted by this space pirate named, this guy right here, Sever Blackmore. So what he wants out of Arakko will lead into the next storyline because I've already read that in the trade paperback format. And that's all I will say about that. Oh yeah, there's this whole Frankenstein type of creature they're fighting towards the end of the book here. All the way in the back is where you're going to get the covers. So it's the textless covers as well as the variant covers in a splash page format. Some of the variants are in between the issues too. So they're not all back here. But they are in this huge splash page format, and I promise whenever people see like a picture, they're like, oh my gosh, this is a spoiler. Some of these pictures have nothing to do with the actual series. You have original artwork right here by Robert Gill, and then your end sheets. Now let's take a look at the build of this. Look at the binding, because it is sewn binding, not much of an eye, and the book does have 328 pages. It is printed at the iMac printer, so there is a little bit of bleed through happening from pages like this, but honestly not as much as volumes 2 or even 1. It seems like it's a little bit of thicker paper stock. It's slicker for sure. And as far as the binding of the book, there's really not a lot of spread pages through here. But there is a little bit. Let me see if I can find, not really any spread pages, but you can see the way the book lays over. You do get minimal gutter loss. There's a lot of more spreads in the Wolverine book, which we'll look at next. All right, here we go with Wolverine Volume 3. It's your end sheets and your title page. You have Benjamin Percy, Juan Jose Rip, Ibrahim Mustafa, Frank Darmata, and Corey Petit. And then the big spread title right there. A little bit about Wolverine and what he does best. And we kick it off with issue number 26. So this collects Wolverine 26 through 32, the 33A story, 34 and 35, and then 37 and through 40. The book has 392 pages, and as I stated, is $49.99. So if you're thinking, wait a second, where's that issue 36? That's part of another crossovers. That's the Weapons of Vengeance crossover, which is part of the Ghost Rider story that Benjamin Percy was writing during his run on Wolverine. Which, if you haven't checked out his storyline on Ghost Rider, it's actually really solid. So this is an interesting collection because this goes a little bit further than X-Force Volume 3. This goes all the way to issue number 40. So it goes to that point of the Fall of X era. So it is broken down into 3 different storylines. By the way, issue 36 is not collected in oversized format. It's only available in trade paperback in the Ghost Rider trades. So we kick it off with what will really become this fight between Wolverine and Beast. Like, this whole thing. So it starts off with Wolverine just relaxing poolside, and by poolside I mean this kiddie pool, with his buddy, that is Jeff Bannister, and his kid Maddie, and then he gets a call from Krakoa from the Beast. Now, what ends up happening is he gets involved with this guy named the Merchant, who has these auctions for superheroes, like their helmets, their scarves, their capes, whatever it is. He ends up giving it to the highest bidder, and of course you have supervillains back there, sometimes heroes, and he wants these folks to start bidding on Wolverine's ear, his eye, his tongue, whatever people want. And then the Beast ends up with an eye patch. And he's like, how much would it cost to be the one who killed Wolverine? So, reading this at the same time that you read X-Force, it's really interesting to see the portrayal of the Beast. Because it's written by the same guy. Benjamin Percy wrote both series. And it feels like this guy's a little more extreme. Now, there could be an explanation of that when we get to the second story arc. But the first story arc is really establishing this dynamic between Beast and Wolverine. We know that Beast is kind of in the middle ground when it comes to some of the creepy things that he's doing in X-Force. But now he is just full-blown odd. Again, if you're just watching this, if you haven't read volumes 1 and 2, I strongly suggest reading those before reading this, of course. Why would you leave Black Tom Cassidy in charge of Maddie? Anybody but that guy. So yes, the second story arc in here is where things start getting interesting, because you start seeing a little bit more as to the reasoning why Beast is doing things, and that leads into the whole Weapons of X storyline. And it's like Wolverine having his own kind of clone saga. Now that gets played out throughout the rest of the issues in here. And during the whole Hellfire Gala of 2023, there was a whole event that kicked off the Fall of X story, where Professor X was like, okay, we are putting humans in harm's way if we stay here on Earth. So all you mutants, get your butts up and book it out of Earth. This I command. And of course, Wolverine isn't going to listen. He's going to be like, nah, man, I'm going to stay here. I got to go hunt the rest of these Weapons of X fools. So he's got to go after his clones. And it's almost like a world tour. So first there's a team up with the Incredible Hulk. And then he ends up teaming up with Captain America. Ends up teaming up with Black Panther and Spider-Man through here. And all he's doing is just hunting down these Weapons of X, his clones, right? And the Merchant gets to come back and play a bigger part too. So it is interesting to see this map different than the way that X-Force was mapped. So I'm curious how the rest of the series will be collected in oversized format. So all the way in the back, we do have, again, the covers. And they're textless covers. And you're also going to get the variant covers in full splash page format. And man, that's awesome. I'm been a big fan of Maria Wolf. Now, some of them do have thumbnail size, and I wish they were all in splash page size. And this is Greg Capullo's, like, this was called the secret spoiler variant. I think it was a secret spoiler because it was like him announcing, and Marvel, of course, announcing that he was going to be coming back to Marvel to do a project. And sure enough, it's been revealed that he's working on a Wolverine miniseries with Jonathan. That's awesome. With Jonathan Hickman. And then your end sheets. Now let's look at the binding. 392 pages, and it is sewn binding. Again, printed at the iMac printer. Paper stock feeling, honestly, thicker than that of volumes 1 and 2. And I showed this a little bit earlier, but this is what the spreads look like. So you do get minimal gutter loss through here. There is some, but not a lot, honestly. And I try to be as thorough as I can be on these overviews. But that, as they say, is that. If you're interested in purchasing these books, don't forget to check out our sponsor, cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. And that was the content, the page count, and build of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you are picking up this series in oversized hardcover format, if you're picking it up in trade paperback, if you're hoping one day there will be an omnibus of this particular era, and if you have any questions, leave those down below. Don't forget to smash that like button. Everyone, stay healthy and safe out there. Much love.